Story 8. I worked until 1 a.m. My girlfriend worked at the same place, but she got off at 11, sometimes midnight. So she would just hang out until I got off, so we used the same car. She was practically living with my mom and me at the time. So we get home around 1:30, get something to eat, and went to bed. My mom is home asleep in her room at the end of the hall, on the right. My bedroom is at the front of the hall to the left. Straight across is the bathroom. Anyways, we lay up talking about our day for a bit. We finish up the conversation and I start to drift off. A short time passes and I'm nudged awake. My girlfriend says she heard something. I listen and I don't hear anything. So I try reassuring her, telling her, "It's okay. It's gonna be okay." We settled back down and now I'm laying there wide awake. Suddenly I hear footsteps running down the hallway. I sit up and I get ready to go check. My girlfriend grabs me and says, "Wait." So we hear running up and down the hallway 5 more times, and on the fourth time something scratches at my door, sounding as if someone with long nails was making a circular motion on the door. At this point, I bolt through the door, check the whole house, go and check on my mom. She is still sound asleep. I never found anything, and my girlfriend never believed in anything paranormal until this point in time. We somehow get to sleep that night. In the morning, I wake up and I remember what happened. I look outside of my door and sure enough, there is deep scratch marks, not in a circle but straight across, between the doorknob and the floor. Till this day, those marks are still there, and they still look fresh. Story 9. So recently, in the past few years, I have been struggling with nightmares that seem so incredibly real. They're these really evil dreams, you know. The ones when you wake up and something else terrible happens only to realize you are still asleep. Well, that's the kind I've been having. Even worse, I have been experiencing what people call sleep paralysis. However, I'm not convinced, as I am fully awake. I even move to a different position before I see evil, only to become paralyzed with fear, so much so that I can't even pray inside of my mind, much less out loud. So now that you all have this information, I will get to the point. I have always had battles with a witch since my teenage years until the present time. So one night my wife and I are in bed, asleep. Whenever she is worried or has a bad dream, she does this thing where she will sit up at the side of the bed, somewhat crouching over, and just thinking. When I wake up to this, I always try and console her by rubbing her back and asking if she's okay, and if there's anything I could do to help. Well, on this night, I'm deep into my slumber and having another nightmare. It's enough to wake me up, but not bad enough to paralyze me. So I lay awake facing the wall, thinking good thoughts, trying to put my mind at ease. I check the time on my phone, and it's like 1 in the morning. I put my phone back on the shelf, rolled to my back. I see my wife sitting at the edge of the bed, so I reach over and I touch her back. I rub in a tiny circular motion. I notice how cold she is through her shirt. I ask if she's okay. With that, I look up at her head and I see a great shoulder-length hair. Just then she turns around and it's an impossibly ugly-looking old lady, the witch I tried my hardest to wake up with no success. The witch vanished. At this point, I'm still trying to wake myself up. Still, no matter what I can do, no matter what I do, I can't wake up. Then I realize I'm not asleep. It's not a dream. I jump out of bed, turn on my light. Nobody is there, not even my wife. She works nights. When I fully understand what had happened, I remember my wife is at work. I went outside to smoke and I didn't sleep the rest of the night. Story 10. This event takes place in the house out in the country of Alamosa. We have all 3 kids at this time. My oldest daughter is around 7, my middle daughter is around 4, and my youngest is 3 years old. For the entirety of the time we lived in the house, this situation would become common. At all different hours of the night, my middle daughter, Deja, would wake up screaming. I would run in her room. She shared it with her younger sister, and I would ask her what's wrong. Even picking her up and holding her, she was inconsolable. She would only mutter she was scared, pointing at the closet between cries and screams. Anything I would do, it wouldn't calm her down. until one night I tried praying out loud, and sure enough, she would settle from this point on. Whenever she did this, me or her mom would go in the room and pray with her out loud. We never really did find out what she was scared of. Until now. It's 8 years later. She is now 12 years old. We live in a completely different house 2 hours away in the city. Well, as I have mentioned in previous experiences of mine, I'm followed by something paranormal. Whether it be a witch or a demon, all I know is it's something. A year ago in November, it drove me mad, to the point I attempted suicide. Unsuccessfully, thank God. Well, I got help and things were getting lots better. Then out of nowhere, all the bullshit started up again. I have beat this thing before, so this time I wasn't going to take it laying down. One night I was feeling particularly agitated and creeped out. I went to bed so my family didn't have to put up with my bad mood. While I'm laying in bed, I get this overwhelming feeling of dread. Without really thinking, I pull out my phone and I start snapping pictures all around my room. I get a shot of the mirror hanging on my closet. I pray and I finally get to sleep. The next morning I'm going through the photos, and it's just a boring room in most of the pictures. I get to the picture of the mirror, and I see 2 glowing green dots, so I enlarge the picture. That's when I see a demon-like figure in the mirror, not a reflection, but as if it's somehow deep inside the mirror. It looks as if it has a gray hood on, green eyes, and a disgusting face. I try and show my wife, she can't see it, so I ask my oldest daughter Hannah if she could see anything. Her answer is no, so I assume I'm just making stuff up that isn't there. Just then Deja walks in and asks, "What are you guys looking for? I want to see." At first I said no, then I figured, well, nobody else sees it, or sees anything, so I let her see it. I don't explain anything to her. She looks for about a minute, maybe even less. Suddenly she lets out this blood-curdling scream, and she faints. I tried to catch her, but miss. All I could do was cradle her head on the way down. I am now feeling like the world's biggest piece of shit dad, so I'm trying to wake her up. She comes to, screams again, and passes out again. This time it only takes a few seconds before she wakes up. I'm asking her if she's okay. She's upset with me and asks me, "Why would you show me that, Dad?" I ask what she's seen and why she's so dramatic. She said, "Dad, this is the thing I would always see in my closet." Side note, my daughter has this thing called POTS. It's where they pass out easily. The end.